Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Women decide who select. Women decide who select because, you know what, I'm going to tell you what. Now I saw some things. I ain't going to get into exactly what I saw, but it's stuff I've been seeing like really for years. And, you know, it's guys calling another guy either attractive or unattractive. And, you know, I'm going to tell you what. You can try to get an idea, or you might be, you know, one of those types to say, well, yeah, that guy's getting women because he's handsome. No homo. Right? Yeah, you can do all that, but at the end of the day, it's the women who decide who's attractive, who's not attractive, who select and non-select. That's just the reality. Because I still remember this thing. It was I had mentioned this back in September. It was a group of men and women at this retreat, and it was a tantra retreat. And the women actually like evaluated each man. And it started out just casual, but then it was like serious. And you had some men who thought they were select, and women was like, nah, you non-select. And then some men who thought they were non-select, the women like, oh no, you're select, you know? Because the thing is, and it should be common sense, but I'm seeing it's not. You know, because if you think about select, non-select, that's the woman's choice. That's all I'm telling you. In fact, a lot of the information about it, or verification came from women. They can look at somebody and say what they say, because a man can, heterosexual man cannot accurately look at another man and see how women see him. For the simple fact, he's heterosexual. Even a gay man can't do that. Because for the simple fact that gay man has a dick, he don't have a vagina. When women are separating men into select, non-select, that's a sexual thing. All that extra stuff that men want to bring into it who, you know, don't have the 20 years of like looking at this, or really 30 years of looking at this. They bringing all this extra stuff in thinking, well, I got all this money, I got this education and stuff. I was like, well, does that turn on a woman sexually? You know, at best it adds to it. You know, it's not the primary thing. The first cut is always like, do you make her vagina tingle? That's the first cut. Because that select, non-select thing is a sexual hierarchy. Do you make her vagina tingle? That's the first guy that's going to be in the select thing. The guy who got raw sex appeal. And the second guy is going to be a guy who has some sex appeal, but also has extra money and stuff. So it's a combination of the sex appeal and then, the social thing, having enough money to give her a certain lifestyle or something. In fact, those guys like that, which in my book, Nice Guys and Players, are referred to as masked men. You know, they still have to have a good physique. They have to have a good physique. You know, they not like the Mr. Goodbars with the raw sex appeal. They have to have a physique, you know, and they have to have a certain amount of money or status or something. Remember, I've never said money and status didn't work. I just said sex appeal works better. And those guys still have some sex appeal and some degree of good looks. And that's a sex thing, but it's women who decide that. Let me put it in a way like some men could understand. Let's be real, fellas. Let's be real for the men listening. And this is no disrespect to the women listening, but for the men listening, if you see a woman and she doesn't have a good sexy shape, which is for us is the closest as possible to an hourglass figure, and facially she's not appealing to us, she's I ain't gonna call them ugly, I'll say unfortunate face, and did a stank attitude on top of all of that, we're not gonna call her a dime. In fact, if we're not looking at the personality part, we ain't gonna call her a dime. Now she can come up and call herself a dime. All her friends can say, oh, yeah, girl, you a dime. But in a man's eyes, we ain't gonna rank her that way. And that's ultimately what counts. If she's going to be a dime, she trying to attract men, she has to appeal to the men. And if she don't, that's it. She going to be wherever we put her, and that's how we're going to respond to her. It's that same thing with the select. Now, some guys might not, and a lot of guys get pissed and mad at the women. I'm like, but if you're trying to have sex with them and stuff, they get, that's a two-way street. If you want them to accept like your approach or something, they got to be turned on. Or, unfortunately, see something that they can use in you. Because that's the nature of women. The first cut is the sexual turn on. That's the first cut. That's why they'll get with some guys like right away. That's why they'll get with some guys and the guys don't have to spend money on them. But then the second cut is maybe some sex appeal, but then the ability to give them a certain type of life. But then as you go down the list, it might be, okay, maybe a certain type of life and like decent enough looking to, give them good kids or something. But then if you don't have that sex, that's generally like select, generally select that part. But when you get to the money and stuff, there's a weird thing with that one, because the guy does, like I said, for him to be select, he got to have a good physique and some degree of good looks in addition to the money. But then you got some other guys, they don't have that good physique and, very average looking or decent looking. And then they, the money isn't to that point that can like really affect their lives. So then they're like, that's when, and interesting enough, you have a lot of non-select guys who like in that category. Not all of them, though, because then the ultimate non-select guys are the guys who don't even have money. They don't even have money, looks, sex appeal, anything. Nothing that a woman would like. But like I said, they decide. Because think about it. I mean, people can get mad. And, it's nice to think about what you are. It's nice. Oh, look, it's nice. I mean, or what you want to work towards. That's a cool thing. But they still make that decision whether you like it or not. Their vagina has to tingle. They got to feel something. They got to feel a jolt when they see you. They decide that. Not you. I mean, and really, I'm going to tell you how deep that jolt is. That spark. Ain't nothing you can really do to convince them. Even with the mouthpiece, you can't really convince them. The mouthpiece more or less seals the deal. But they got to look at you and feel like that jolt from the get-go. Or something about you that turns them on physically. Something about them. And then that mouthpiece, shoot. You going in and telling them something else. Not tell something else, but you sealing the deal. That's when you look at her, you notice that she's turned on. It's like, hey, yeah, why don't you come back to my place with me? But even then, they still decide. Because, I've seen some situations, you even got some people, and I've seen this in like incel communities and stuff. They'll have some people say, hey, you come to us, we'll tell you where you rate. I'm like, a man can't do that. A man really can't. The best a man can do is give maybe an idea comparing that guy to somebody else that they seen get into play. But even then, you don't know what the woman feeling. Remember, I talked the other day about, a woman reading that body language. See, most men, they ain't going to see that body language. They ain't reading it because they ain't feeling the woman. Because when women reading that body language, part of it is what their vagina is telling them. That's the thing. You can't fake it. It's like you can do it, but if you don't have that same vagina, boom. Like I've had sometimes if you know what, I ain't gonna get into that. This is gonna start a firestorm if I say that. I'm gonna let that one go. But just understand on a basic level, or just period, and that's just a rule. Women decide who select and not select. Only thing a man can really do is just work on being the best version of himself. And then dealing with the women who find him select. It's really that easy. And if the woman ain't showing any signs of it, don't get mad at her. Don't get mad at her at all. Just be like, okay, keep moving. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to you later. Peace.